right. Hey, everybody, and welcome to Zenfolio Live. I'm Robert with Zenfolio Customer Success. Today, we're going to be talking about how to create custom logos for your Zenfolio site. So I am going to go through creating a homepage logo, a header logo, a footer logo, a favicon, a mobile logo, and a pre-order logo. Now, while I am going to be in Photoshop showing you guys how to do this, this is not a logo design class. So you guys are more than welcome to poke fun at my design skills or lack thereof. But what I am going to be showing you guys how to do in Photoshop today is making sure that you're creating these logos to the correct size, exporting them correctly, and then where to go to upload these in your Zenfolio account. Now, before I start creating a logo, what I want to do is I want to get my color palette. And one of my favorite places to go and get color palettes or get inspiration for design is actually an Adobe site called color.adobe.com. But what I love about this site is that you can go to get color inspiration. You can go find color palettes. You can go and actually design your own color palettes, and then you can save them in your Adobe account. But it also gives you the hex values, which is so important, not just for creating logos, but then when you're also customizing your Zenfolio site and you want to try to make sure that you're matching your colors, you can always refer to the hex codes because you can use those hex codes in Zenfolio's theme designer. So let's do a search for Halloween. All right, so we're just doing a search for Halloween. It's going to pop up with Halloween-inspired color palettes, and then we'll just pick one of these out really quick, and we'll do our logo from that. I'm going to go with, let's go with this one right here. So I'm going to click on this, and now I have the hex codes for all of these colors, and I can click copy right here like this. So we're going to use this color palette. So I'm just going to kind of grab this, pull it over here out of the way. And we're going to start first with the homepage logo. All right. And it is important for you guys to understand that the homepage logo is a logo that you can only use on your homepage. So in your Zenfolio site, on your Zenfolio account, you have a homepage logo and a header logo. So the homepage logo only shows on your homepage your actual default built-in Zenfolio homepage, not a custom homepage or anything like that, your default homepage. And so what's nice about the homepage logo that you can do is if you want to create some kind of really elaborate logo design and make it really big, maybe even like a square type, you can show that on your homepage and then use a condensed version of that logo on your header so that as people progress through your site, they don't have that big logo showing up anymore. They have the more condensed or alternative version of your logo. That's a way that you can use your homepage logo if you want to. Now, personally, I recommend that you use your header and your header logo because you could have that consistently shown throughout your site. And we're going to talk about that in a second. But we're going to design this homepage logo first. I'm going to go in Photoshop and we're going to create a new document. And the maximum size for your homepage logo is 640 pixels by 230 pixels. That's the biggest size that logo can be. I definitely don't recommend creating something that big. That is going to be really large and it's going to take up a lot of space on the site. So we're going to start off with a new document. So I'm going File, Create New. And then in my new document window right here, I'm going to put 640 pixels wide and 230 pixels for the height. And then we're going to I'm going to make the background transparent. If you like designing on a colored background, that's fine. Just make sure you design in layers. We're going to hit that. And then we're going to hit create. And now we have our Photoshop document here. All right. And then the next thing that I like to do when I'm doing logo design or any kind of design for that matter is to lay this out with a grid. All right. So a grid helps me visualize things a little bit better. It helps me take a big block of space and break it up into designing kind of sections. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go right in here to view, and I'm going to hit new guide layout. And so I like to do even numbers. For this, I'm just going to do 4 columns, 4 rows, and have the margin set up. I'm thinking of butter. The margins set up and the way they are with 10 pixels around the outside. I might even go a little bit further. Let's do 20 and 20 and 20 and 20. you can kind of use this to help you think of like your padding around your logo. But now we have this grid in here that we can use. And so now let's come up with a design. Now, I'm going to design this after a hippo. I don't know if you guys caught the Zenfolio Live where I did hip photography. That's a play on one of our ambassadors, Evan Chung. His logo is a moose. I like to make fun of it and use a hippo and talk about how much better hippos are than moose. And so that's the logo design that I'm going to do. And so what I did before we started was I kind of browsed the internet and found this little silhouette of a hippo. And this is the one that I'm going to use to kind of create my logo. So I'm going to actually just drag this file on here. And so I'm going to recreate that using a color layer. And so what I'm going to do is just hit enter. I'm going to grab my magic wand tool, select that, and it's just going to select that whole hippo silhouette. Then I'm going to go down to my layers tools right down here and create a new solid color layer. Now you guys can't see it, but I'm just with that hippo color selected, I'm just creating a new solid color layer in that color. I'll make it green for now, even though that's not one of the colors, but just so you guys can see. All right, and so now it's recreated that hippo shape. I can now delete that bottom shape and I now have the hippo in here. Now, what am I going to do now? I'm going to use one of the colors from my color palette right here for that hippo. All right, so let's go with this darker color. So I'm just going to click right on this and copy the hex code. And then in Photoshop, if I double click on this solid color layer right here, I can then, oops, wrong double clicking section. Let me go right here. I can then just paste in the hex code for that color right here with the Command V. And now we have that kind of dark purple color for my hippo. Okay, let's grab that hippo layer and let's move him over here. And let's go ahead and make him smaller because I know I don't want my logo to be the max size. So I'm going to bring him about down to like this right here. All right. Okay. So we have the hippo. Now we just need to add whatever text or font or whatever words I want on here, whatever text I want. So in this case, I'm going to do hip photography. So I'm going to grab my text tool right over here and just go up here and let me just move this over and we're going to write the word hip and then I'm going to write photography. All right. And the idea that I kind of have in my head is I want hip to be right here and photography to be under the hippo where he's kind of standing on it. So I'll just kind of go ahead and place that in that area and kind of show you what I'm thinking. But I think I want to kind of change it up just a little bit. So I'm going to go to this text, double click the layer. I'm going to start making hip a little bit larger just to kind of take in that space there. So just something like that. All right. Okay. Now I want to bring this, just kind of position it nice there. And then the last thing that I want to do again is go back to my colors and make sure that I'm using colors that match from that color palette that I selected. All right. So here is the color palette. And I want to use, for this one, I want the photography to be the same color as the hippo, but I want the hip to stand out a little bit. So I'm going to double click the text layer. I'm going to, first of all, select the photography portion, hit the color tool up here, and then again, just go in here and paste in that hex code and hit OK. So that changed the photography portion to be the same color. The hip was a different color still. So we're going to click on the hip part this time. Go up here, and actually I need to copy the color that I want to use first. So let's copy this. And guys, I'm going to probably promise that this is going to turn out being a pretty laughable logo file. So again, feel free to poke fun at me. This is not really the important part. We're going to get to the important part here in a second. Okay. So here's my logo so far. I'm going to go with that. I don't want to export it like this though. Okay. Because it's got all of that space around it, right? And so all of that extra space, when we export it, that's going to cause there to be a lot of weird padding that we can't really control in Zenfolio. And so what we want to do is we want to get rid of that padding. And there's a couple of ways you can do it. You could use that crop tool right here and just try to visually crop in as tight as possible. If you want to do that, you can definitely do that. The way that I like to do it is I actually like to use the layer select option and then hit the crop tool. So first, what we're going to do is we're going to go right here, and I am just going to select all the layers and do merge layers like this, so that basically they're all merged together. They're not separate layers anymore. And then after that, I'm going to hold Command on my keyboard, or if you're on a PC, it would be Control. And I'm going to click on that layer. And if you can see what it's doing, it is selecting the stuff that's in the layer without selecting the dead space. And after you do that, then you can click your crop tool. And guess what that does? That crops in as tight as possible to that logo file. All right. And so I'm going to hit enter again. And now we're cropped in as tight as possible in that logo file. Okay. And from this point, it's ready to be exported and uploaded to Zenfolio. Now, we're not going to upload everything to Zenfolio yet. We're going to do that here in a little bit. We're going to create a couple more logos. All right. So we're going to go ahead and go to File. And I'm going to use Quick Export as a PNG file. Now, important to note, make sure that if you're using this option that you've gone into your export settings under your Photoshop preferences right here. So under your export settings, and make sure that that quick export format is set to PNG and is set to have transparency. That way it doesn't put a white background on it. If this option is unchecked right here, if this option is unchecked, when you use that quick export, it's going to put a white background on your logo file. And that is probably not what you are going to want. So again, go under Preferences, Export, make sure that the PNG file has the transparency checked, and hit OK. And then from there, I'm just going to go to File, Export, Quick Export as a PNG file, and then I'm going to decide where I want to put it. And I'm going to put it in a new folder, and we'll call it Zen Logos. And I will just call this one Home Page. Okay, so homepage logo, and we're going to save it. All right. If I had any background layers on really quick, so like if I had a white background layer on under the logo, before I exported it, you would want to make sure that you turn that background layer off. Now, if you have an older version of Photoshop, you might not have the export or quick export option. And in that case, the process that you need to use is File, and it's going to say Save for Web is what you're going to be looking for. You're going to click that option, and then you're going to get a little dialog that pops up like this. You're going to want to make sure that you switch this from being a GIF to a PNG 24. Really important that you choose that 24 option, and then make sure that the transparency option is selected, and then you can save that. Now, for anybody who's wondering, well, what size did that logo actually end up being? Right here is the actual size. So that logo ended up being 285 pixels wide by 140 pixels tall. That's still a pretty big logo. That's going to be too big really for what I want on my header. Now, I might use that for the homepage, but for the header, that's probably going to be a little bit too big. I'm probably going to want something a little bit smaller because I don't want my header to take up a lot of real estate on my site. And so we're going to talk about that in a second. All right. Okay. So now that we have created our homepage logo, let's talk about creating the header logo. And the header logo basically has the same properties as the homepage logo. But again, I want to use this in my header. I don't want my header taking up a bunch of real estate. And this can also be used for your footer logo as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and just create a new one really quick. And I'm going to say File, New. And then what I'm going to do is not put in these maximum sizes, because I know that on my Zenfolio account, and let me pull that up really quick. If I go into Customize Website, look at my header and say, okay, that's about where I want my header setting. All right, so I like the height of this. That's about how I want it to look as far as height goes. So what I'm going to do is go down to Site Header, look at that header height and say, oh, okay, it's 80 pixels. So I know that I want to design my logo with that 80 pixels in mind. All right. Now, the header does have a special property to it to where you can set the logo to scale, which is pretty cool. And I'll show you guys that in a second. But still, you're going to want to keep that header height in mind when you're designing your logo to give you a good place to start. So back in Photoshop, we know that we want to start with a height of 80 pixels. So I'm creating new. I'm going to set that height to be 80 pixels. And the width, we can just leave the width at 640 pixels. The width doesn't really matter as long as your logo is not really, really long. All right, we're going to hit create. And then again, I'm just going to go up here and do that grid. So new guide layout. This time I'm going to leave the margins off and we'll just go ahead and hit OK. And then we're going to recreate that logo again really quickly. So I'm not going to kind of describe everything that I'm doing. I'm just going to go through the steps really fast, creating that solid color logo or layer, getting that, where did it go? There we go. Getting that hex code so I can put in the color that I want. Deleting that other layer now. Resizing this, and let me just zoom in. And I'm going to resize this with Command T, bring this over, and go ahead and just kind of size it down here. Now, in this case, this is a reason why it's nice to have the homepage logo and the header logo separate. Because in this case, if I did that same design where I had hip and then photography under the hippo, photography would have to be so small that it would be hard to see in my header. And so what I'm going to do this time is create a more vertical styled logo rather than kind of a stacked one. So it's just going to say hip photography coming right out of the hippo right here. All right, so we're going to go grab the text tool. I'm going to click right here. Go ahead and get the text smaller. Bring it over here. Change that alignment to left aligned this time. Get it right here, and then we'll write out our text. But all right, so now that we have our text here, let's go ahead and just recolor our logo or our text. We'll put that color in here. Jumping back to this and getting my red color here. And going to do that for the hip right here really quickly. Okay. And so now it's just a matter of sizing this in the way that I want it to look. And I feel like the text is probably just a little too large, so we're going to kind of downsize this. But I'm going to go ahead and go with this. So again, we're going to use that same method to get this cropped in nice and tight. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and select all the layers, right-click, and then choose the Merge Layers option. We're going to hit Command and click on the layer right here. That's going to select everything in the layer. And then we're just going to crop it in nice and tight right here. Hit Enter and crop that in. All right. And there's our logo. We'll go up to File, Export. Quick export as a PNG file. And now that logo would work for the header as well as the footer if we wanted to use the same logo there. So I'm going to say header logo.png. We'll hit save. And we have created our header logo. All right. Now, the next logo file that we're going to create is going to be the favicon. That is this little logo that you see right up here. And if you notice how small it is, it's really small. So it's a good idea to think about what you're using in there. In this case, I'm going to try to use maybe just the hippo's face and not even the full hippo silhouette because that is a 16 by 16 pixel logo. I'm going to use this right here, kind of zoom in on this and maybe just try to crop into the hippo right here with a 16 by 16 pixel crop. Let's do 16 pixels by 16 pixels in the crop tool. And then we'll just kind of get this positioned over the hippo's head here. All right. There we go. I'm going to hit enter. And what I'm going to do really quickly is just kind of use my brush and brush out some of this and this right here and get rid of that really quick. So I'm going to use my brush tool. Let me get that size down. Also, we're going to bump that hardness up. And I'm just going to kind of quickly brush out or mask out some of this stuff. So that over here, I'm masking out this. Just kind of rounding out the shape of the hippo's head there, just like that. Okay. And so that's going to be the favicon right there. I don't know how visible that's going to be, but we're going to try it out. And again, that is 16 by 16 pixels. So we're going to go back up to File. Where did my window go? Okay, so we're going to go back up to File, Export, Quick Export as a PNG file, and I'm going to call this favicon.png. No background layers on there at all, so we're good to go. Okay, a couple more logos to create, the mobile logo and then the pre-order logo. Now, I'm not going to totally recreate those, but what I am going to do is just kind of open up. Actually, I'll just drag it in here. I'm just going to kind of bring the logo files that I've already created in here and crop them for those different sizes. For the Quick Shop logo, the Quick Shop logo is 400 pixels by 80 pixels, okay? So 400 pixels wide by 80 pixels. So what we want to do is we want to use our crop tool and crop this. So that's going to be 400 by 80. All right, and you see how small that is? So that's going to let us know that this logo file is not going to work for that. We're probably better off using the longer logo file. So let's go grab that one really quick. All right, so let me grab that logo file. And I'll just open that one up right here. All right, and so there's the longer one. So let's grab our cropping tool, that 400 by 80, and that's almost perfect. So we're going to go ahead and just crop it right there. And we'll do File, Export, Quick Export as a PNG, and I will say Quick Shop logo.png. All right, there we go. And then the mobile logo is 640 pixels by 200. So the homepage logo that I made or the header logo that I made should work perfectly fine for it. If you're creating a mobile logo, make sure that you check it with the cropping tool like I cropped it earlier to make sure that that mobile logo is going to work. For the pre-order logo, it's 400, which we just did the pre-order logo, so that one's going to work. As well, the pre-order logo is the same size, as the Quick Shop logo. So pre-order logo and Quick Shop logo are both 400 by 80 pixels. So now it's time to jump into Zenfolio, get these logo files uploaded where they need to go back into Customize View. So if you're not familiar with how to get here, hover over Website, right-click on Customize Site, and open that up in a new tab. And then this is where we're going to go and upload all of the logo files that we just created. But here in Customize View, what we're going to do is we're going to go down to Site Settings first. All right. And then we're going to go to the Logos and Icons tab. And we're going to upload the Quick Shop logo right here. So we're going to say upload our Quick Shop logo. And we'll grab it. We'll hit Open and Upload. All right. And then you'll just do the same thing for everything in here. So you would say, web browser. Let's upload our web browser or favicon right here. We're going to hit upload, and you'll actually be able to see them kind of populate in here. This is a really good way to know if you took the background out of the logo or not, because if this logo had a background, it would actually be showing the solid white background. All right, mobile logo right here. We're going to upload the mobile logo, and I'm just going to use the header logo because it's going to work for that. Pre-order logo, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to upload the Quick Shop logo for the pre-order logo. We'll hit upload file. And then we're going to go down here and hit apply. And then those logos are going to be there. And the last thing that we need to do is get our header logo uploaded as well. But I'm going to hit apply and we're going to go ahead and let that apply. And you'll notice already up here, here's that silhouette, really bad silhouette of that hippo head. So that didn't work out too well. But this logo hasn't changed. That's because that's our header logo. So we're going to go down to site header, go to logo, and this is where we would upload our header logo. Now, this is where that scale logo comes into play, because you can set the logo to scale, and then that logo is going to scale by adjusting the height of your header. So if I hit apply, now we're going to see the new logo on my header. All right here. And let's say I want to bring that in, make that a little bit smaller. Maybe I'm like, I don't really like how much space it's taking up. So I can go back down to site header, go to header height. And since this logo is set to scale, if I go to header height right here, we can start dropping this down and that logo is going to scale with it. So if I set this to like, I don't know, let's try 60 and hit apply, that's going to scale that logo down right here, just like that. So I can keep going down if I want until I got to a size that I'm happy with. Now, let's talk about that homepage logo really quick. So if I go to options, page elements, this is where you can see what logo you're using on your homepage. As you can see, I'm using the page header, but not the homepage logo. So if I set that to show, then a logo tab drops. So just look, if I uncheck that, if I set that homepage logo to hide, so if I go homepage logo hide, that logo tab goes away. If I set it to show, the logo tab pops back up. Then we're going to click on logo. This is where we would upload that homepage logo right here. Now what you'll see is I'm going to end up with a homepage that has two logos on it, which is probably not ideal. So I would, again, not recommend setting it up that way. I just want to show you guys where to upload it.